So, hi guys, welcome back. For those who don't know, I'm Felipe, creative designer from Germany, originally from Brazil, but living for many years here in the beer capital of the world. So today I wanted to talk to you about alternative software and software that actually gives a damn and companies who actually give a damn. So this is not an affiliate link, I promise, but I'll definitely be praising Affinity Suite, which is a collection of 3 programs to rival Adobe's piece of crap stuff. And I wanted to take a peek at them and see why, and actually determine and tell you why you should be using it like today. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe, give me a like. It'll be very, very, very much appreciated. I talk about creative design and everything surrounding improving designers' workflow, designers' output, and also for people who love design and businesses who want to scale properly, how it goes hand in hand with marketing. So back to the original video. Let me share my screen first. Let's take a peek at that. So, okay. So, if you Google for Affinity, you're gonna find their website, which is Affinity Surf, where Affinity, they have recently been bought by Canva, but they're gonna remain an independent entity on the web, which is fantastic. So they probably now have the budget to even invest much more. So I'm really excited about its future, its future potential. And yeah, it's all right. So let's get into it. All right. So if I scroll down, so the suite consists of 3 main programs, which is Affinity Designer, Photo, and Publisher. And if you're familiar with the Adobe software, which I assume you probably are, then Affinity Designer was made to rival Adobe Illustrator, Affinity Photo for Photoshop, and Affinity Publisher for InDesign. So they don't have all the programs that Adobe sells, but there's lots of functionality and advantages when it comes to using one of these 3. And so the first point that you're going to be looking at, if you're conscious about that, which I believe you should be, is the pricing scheme in particular. So Adobe is very expensive, right? They have the Creative Cloud for, I have no idea how much it's going for these days exactly. And they kind of tie you right to the program. And we have so many subscription services these days that it adds up. And it's really horrible for us in the long term to think, okay, you need like 20 different subscription services to enjoy your life or to work, right? And so just for instance, you have Netflix, Amazon, Spotify, Amazon Kindle, maybe if you like to use that as I do, Canva, for designers, Canva, Creative Cloud, Envato, FreePick, Lottie Icons, Webflow, etc. So it adds up very, 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 very damn quickly, and Adobe is a huge part of that economy or their price point. So the cool thing is, if we go back to Affinity, the absolute cool thing is they offer all 3 programs together for 180 euros, including taxes here in Germany. Should be similar wherever you are, I guess. Maybe $180 in the US, I'm not sure. But all 3 programs can be used in perpetuity, so you actually own the programs, which is such a breath of fresh air. And for what the product programs offer, it's maybe the best bang for buck that I've ever seen in the online software industry. But here I am yapping with no end. Let's actually explore this a little bit. So what you do is you can buy them, right? You go here to buy, and then you can create an account because I already bought it. I don't have to repurchase it, of course. But we can take a look at my account home. So here you can see order history, download product keys, and actually, and also, which is fantastic, you can install this as often as you like. So as many computers you want, as many laptops you want, iOS, so Mac and tablet, and in iOS and what's it called again? I'm not an iOS kind of guy. In Apple tablet, right? The iPad. Oh, oh my god, the iPad. It's all included, and so you can use it. I use it on all of my 3 computers that I use every day for my work, and it is absolutely being a game changer. So I'm gonna open one of these. So once you download the licenses and the programs, you can re-download them here. If you lost it, if you had to uninstall it, you can find this here again here under downloads in your account, and so you can re-download them and reinstall them at any time that you would like. So let's take a peek at those. So hold on, this is let's go from the most used. Let me just show you something quickly. I think okay, maybe that. So anyways, let's start with Affinity Photo. So Affinity Photo is kind of like rivaling Photoshop, right? So they have lots of functionalities. If you're familiar with Photoshop work or with any different photo software, such as even Canva in it of itself, but mostly also Photopea and GIMP, right? If you're familiar with those, you are gonna recognize the way this works. So originally, you get to open or create a file, right? You can find different pre-saved formats here: photo, press ready, web, etc., etc. And you can choose between portrait and landscape format. I have a couple of favorite ones, so you can create templates. Like you can set the width here, the DPI, the units, zoom, image placement. Prefer linked and embedded. I prefer linked because it performs a little better. That means that you cannot delete the original files, otherwise the resolution is gonna get lost. So you cannot delete the files that import into the software, because otherwise it's gonna be lacking, missing afterwards, and the resolution is gonna suffer. So, but I still prefer link because it's more performant. Actually, maybe not significantly so. It depends on the size of the files you work with. Anyways, you can also prefer them embedded, so you can carry the document wherever you are without needing to back up the original images. So you have the color scheme here for print as well, like in CMYK. Color profile as well, very, very important. In margins that I can include, I'll just set them to 50 for now. And we can choose one of my favorite templates here. Let's do the classic. There you go. So 16 by 9, right? So you can open a new file. So as you can see, the new files are opened in a single window, basically, right? This is not an artboard. This is one single Canva where you can design, right? But there's also the option to create artboards like this. They're not as straightforward, I would say, maybe as Photopea or Figma, right? If you're familiar with it, it is a huge whiteboard, and you can just throw stuff in it, right? But I created a template for artboards that I'm gonna link in the file below, in the description below, where you can open. Here, let me show you quickly. You can directly open different classic whiteboard artboard dimensions. So we have the square, the 69. This is for tablet, and this is for mobile, including the Van de Graaff grid, which is a very interesting geometric grid, which I get more into in a separate video. I'll link the video also as well in the description below. But let's go back to an actual new file. Okay, so you can remove the background here on the document transparent background. I think the embedding settings cannot be changed after the fact, after creating the file. Can't remember right now, but in any case, you can just open like a new file and just copy paste your work if you want. So you get a familiar single artboard, right? And then yeah, you can start modifying stuff, let's go through the tools. I think the most important tools first. So as you know from Photoshop, on the left you have the main tools, right, which you can customize under View Customize To, right? So as you can see, there are lots of tools that you might be familiar with, including crop tool to crop this entire window, color picker, object selection, flood selection to choose like objects in according to mostly color and luminosity. Then you have erase background and measuring tools, and here I mostly I just combine the tools that I use the most on everyday basis here as favorites, so you can insert them here and remove them again, so you can customize the toolbar however you want to customize the toolbar. And yeah, this is just a selection of how I like to work, including the move tool, node tool, different shapes, pen tool, which is classic, cloning brush, and here under healing, have the healing patch, blemish, impeding brush tool. An overview of my favorite tools, then let me show you quickly. So this one is obviously the selection tool, right? You have the node tool where you can select the different nodes of any particular object. So let's draw something. You can just create like a rectangle, and then you get to select it, and then here you get to select the different nodes, right? If you want, or if you draw, we can draw whatever shape you want, right? With the pen tool works very much like the pen tool on Illustrator, but it's not a vector here. So the difference being, this is not a vector working file. Okay, that's very important. This is what Affinity Design is for, and I'll show you in a second what we can do about that. So you get the node selection tool where you can choose play with the points, right, with the node points. Then you get the artistic and frame tool. Artistic is just typing something, and then you can scale it to the left, to the right. You can stretch it, right? You can increase the width and height, as you know from Photoshop and from every other major working photo tool. So also you get to set the alignment tools right here, so you can snap them here via the snapping widget. You can choose to snap to grid, to baseline grid, and everything in between. So you can take a look. There's a grid, right? The pixel grid, where you can set in the options under the guides. Here under the guides, you could set the drawing guides, which are, you can just pull them here from the rulers, right? On the top and on the bottom, there you go. And I have shortcuts to display and to hide them once again. I don't like working with grids shown, so I like to remove it. And yeah, I can just blend in the guides and the margins if I want. Where are the margins, by the way? For some reason, oh yeah, okay, that was the other document. Forgot to set the margins here. Just set it to 50 in red, and then there you go. I get to showcase the margins, and I can turn off the snapping if I want and move by all pixels, you know. So and this is a forced pixel alignment. So just to keep consistency, but you can, you know, work with it the way you prefer to. So then on the right we have the layers panel, which is also oh, actually, I'm sorry. We have second option, text option is frame, which means you get to contain the text inside a box, right? Which you know from, I think from InDesign as well, where you can contain the text, and then you can resize the box and the text will just break, right? The clone tool, very useful, right? You just get to clone something and apply it, right? The texture, the image, the color, etc., etc. Then you get to a healing brush, which is to fix imperfections on images, patch as well, blemish as well. What's very interesting is the inpainting brush tool. I'm not sure what the equivalent is on the on Photoshop. I can't remember. I don't use Photoshop that often, so I'll just pull an image here. But it's kind of like to blend in, you know, foreground with background, and so I get to choose the inpainting. I can just paint over the no pixel layer, and it's gonna calculate stuff, and nothing happened because I have two different layers here, and I did not select. Oh, actually, I did. Okay, so what did I do here? I don't know. It's like when it comes to explaining, I just get lost a little bit, so I can just inpaint the. There you go. No, so it kind of blends in, right? The layers, but it's definitely not perfect. But depending on the contrast, it works quite well. Then we have the normal paint brush. There you go. You can modify the. You can go to brushes, and then you can get the soft round brushes and the hard round, the classic ones, right? But I also downloaded lots of add-ons for watercolor and for you can just click around here. There's lots of options, acrylics, dry media, etc., etc. So yeah, it's very thorough in that respect. And then obviously, let's see, this let's go back here a little bit. So I have the history here. I can just resize the image again. So I have the image, so I can show you some examples. So yeah, that's like the basic tools on the left, and you also get the selection brush, which you can try to select areas, but I don't particularly like working with it. I can deselect stuff here and then select and deselect, reselect, invert selection. So this is all familiar from Photoshop. I guess to you or new if you're working with it for the first time, I would recommend reading the documentation. Here I can change the Canva size if I want, and the color replacement. Not gonna get into that. The measuring can be very good to see particular distances. So there you go. That's like the gist of it. And on the right, as I said, we have the layers. You can add also as well FX. FX is kind of like the layer effects. So we can add shadow, right? So drop shadow basically like that. There you go. And we can also play with bevel and emboss, but I'd rather show you on a text, for example, here, right? We can go here to bevel and emboss, and then you can just play around with it. Outlines, I use outlines sometimes. There you go. So it increases the outlines, sort of like a variable font, and so I recommend you just play with it. Then we have very important, something I like to use all the time, and let me just import another image so we can play with stuff. Yes, I'm a huge mountain fountain fan. Mountain fountain. Oh, Jesus Christ. So that's the blending modes, right? Which I love to work with. Darken, multiply. This is all known, I guess, to you from Photoshop and Illustrator. I'm just trying not to make this video way too long. Okay, let's go back. So darken color, blah blah blah. Yeah, you just, as a good designer, you're gonna be using blending modes quite a lot. Okay, so under adjustments, that's the cool stuff. That's where you can adjust images, improve images, fix images. So the levels here, and I can increase, decrease the black. There you go, the whites, etc. The tools I use the most are HSL for sure. Not sure if you know about HSL, but it's kind of like the hue of colors. You know how they work, and you can change the saturation here as well, luminosity, and I can go from hue by hue, right? I get to pick here, for instance. I can zoom in, and then it's gonna choose the color, the color. There you go, for the color span here, that I can then modify and adapt. Yeah, so there you go. So you get 3 in 1. You get the hue, saturation, and luminosity shift all in this HSL tool, which is fantastic and very, very, very useful. Recolor is something I don't usually use too much. Black and white, also not as much. I mean, you can make stuff artistic, right, with black and white. So yeah, and you can also, fine tune different luminosity based on the inputs, on the image inputs. I'm just undoing stuff. There you go. Brightening and contrast, obviously, that's what I use the most, I guess, or very often at least. And then all the tools that you might know. Very important is also vibrance. Vibrance increases the color vibrance. It becomes more lively without oversaturating it, which would be option 2. So I generally like to use a little bit of extra saturation and then play a little more with vibrance. Exposure, shadows, highlights, so all the tools that you're going to require, and obviously the always amazing to work with tools, curves, which are absolutely essential. And yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Then we get to swatches, right? So pretty, you can just select and there you go. It's a little annoying sometimes on Affinity Photo, so I can copy the selection right here, and then it gets applied immediately for some reason. And up until this day, I have not found a good way to stop doing that. I mean, the option is here under color picker, right? I can click it, and then you can see this apply to selection at the very top. If you uncheck that, then it's not going to apply it to the selection. It's just going to... I know why. That's because I'm not using the tool on the... There you go. It's already selected, so there you go. So I can now, select the swatch, which gets placed in here, right? And then I can edit to different projects. I can add the swatch as a... Or actually, I have to select it first. There you go. See, that's what I mean. I hate this sometimes. And then just get to edit to projects here. You can create templates here as well, registration documents. And we can go to the transform panel, of course, always useful. Rotate and center or base the rotations on the center, blah, blah, blah. This is also very useful, of course. And then here you can set how elements can scale up and down. Then we get to history, characters for different text options, of course, and libraries, which contain preset values or formats, right, to edit your picture, such as let's apply sharpen hard, as you can see, has applied it, and rasterize the layer. Just undo it. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I think that's mostly it. There are lots of other tools you can export here, especially filters as well, right? Blur filter. Oh, and what's also cool is I'm not sure if they have improved this in Photoshop right now, but you can add different filters in a non-destructive manner, like here under the live filters. So I can go to clarity. Actually, I'm just gonna apply it to the center image. So I can, there you go. You can choose the adjustment widgets, right? I'll go to clarity. I'll increase it, punch it up just for this particular picture, and it's non-destructive. And I can blend it out if I want to, and I can, there you go. So that's fantastic. And of course, classic mask work. Let me just show you how a mask works here. So I can, let's select it with the pen tool. So use the pen tool here. On the top left, you can see mask and selection. It's grayed out, but I'm gonna, because I have to select the curve first that I just drew, right? And I get to apply this to the layer below. So I can go to selection, there you go. And then I can mask it here on the mask layer. And there you go. And now we get a mask. And I can deselect it, there you go. And I can move the mask around and obviously repaint stuff with the brush tool, as known from Photoshop. There you go. So yeah, I can just, there you go. Something like that. As an overview. Yeah, and I think that's enough on this for now. Let me show you something really, really cool now. Actually, I'm gonna cut this now. Otherwise, it's gonna get too long. So this is gonna be Affinity Photo 1 as part of Affinity Suite Part 1 for Photoshop, and then I'll release Part 2 for Designer and InDesign. Right? So stay tuned. And here's a sneak peek. You can go to File and then Edit in Designer and Publisher, which is very cool. Very, very cool. So you can use the same document and open it directly in Designer. There you go, the same document, same files, if you want to make use of its capabilities and vector design. And you can also go back. So you can go back to edit in photo. That's fantastic. So yeah, it's kind of like the embedded objects, right? If you copy them from Illustrator into Smart, I don't remember the name, okay? But I hope you know what I'm talking about. So this is an intro to Affinity Suite, Affinity Photo, very, very thorough. And I'm just gonna separate this, divide this into two, otherwise it's gonna get insanely long. So I hope you felt some value from this for now. Let me know in the comments, give me a like, subscribe, it will be very much appreciated. And yeah, I'll see you in part 2.